Hey everybody, welcome back to some Evolution Legends content. And today I'm going to be talking about team building. So I'm going to give you a few tips on how to build a team in this game. I've seen a lot of questions out there in Discord and even on my Reddit community about how do I build a team? What do I look at first? And it's going to vary. That it's going to shift over time, like what you want to do in the beginning versus what you want to do at mid or towards the end game. Your team building strategies can be a little bit different. But I'm going to be focusing primarily on sort of like that early and mid game things you should be thinking about out of the gate. I would say, this is a free tip. Doesn't count as one because I have 5 tips to go over today, and this is a freebie one here. Is that in the very beginning, in early when everything's just like 1 star, you're on level 4, 3 or 4, or whatever, campaign level 3 or 4. I mean, you just run the best stuff you got. It doesn't really matter about aura bonuses and synergies, things like that. You're just trying to like grind through some content, get some gems, and do some summons and build up your team. But when it starts to get more challenging, you start to run into some walls. That's where some of these team building tips will come into play. So the first tip I'm going to talk about is build a team that has a decent aura bonus. And what that means is, if you look here, you see this squad aura. And the squad aura is just a bonus attributes that your team gets based on the composition of your overall team. And you can see here where it has right now I have 3 heroes that are, let's see which faction they're from. I have 3 heroes that are of this Abyss faction, and that's given me a attack bonus of plus 8% and an HP bonus of plus 8%. You might be saying, okay, well, no, you only have two Abyss heroes in this game, but actually Arian here counts as, since she's an element, counts as she's a wild card, and you see what I mean here. So it says here, element heroes can be viewed as part of any race except for relics and activating the party aura. Meaning she's a wild card, so she counts as another abyss. So I have 3 abyss in my squad, so I get this 3 hero bonus, and then relics get an extra. They basically take your current aura bonus and give you a percentage of that on top of that, right? So I have 8%, 25%, 8% is 2%, so I have a total of 10% attack bonus and HP percent 10%, right? So because I've got Chronos in here as well. So just be aware of that. I would not, you at the very minimum, and right now I'm running the minimum. At the very minimum, you want at least 3 heroes from the same faction in your lineup, so you're getting that aura bonus. Ideally, you've got more, but it really just depends on I think your summons and what if you've gotten lucky and you've got the options you have basically to put a team together, and so, but definitely make sure you're at least getting that basic 8%. Try to sprinkle in a relic hero like a Chronos in there if you can. It's not the end all be all, but it does make a big difference here if you're getting this aura bonus. So that's the first tip. Keep an eye on that. Even early game, if you can pull it off, it's nice because it's going to just help you, cut through that early content even faster because you just get that extra bonus. Okay, so tip number 2. Build a team that has some good synergy. So make sure, a couple of things. So make sure that you have both a little bit of AoE damage and single target damage. You don't want too much single target damage because you need to be burning that team down as a whole throughout the course of the battle. And then your single target damage dealers are the ones that are just kind of doing that big hit that's going to just take them out, right? Characters like, I got Fangram here, is a great single target damage dealer. Characters like Polaris, as far as AoE goes, great AoE damage dealer is somebody like Pyrex. for me, I use Galileo. You can see here I'm running Galileo. She, technically she's a tank, but she does a ton of damage over the course of the battle because she has she buffs herself each time she hits an ult. She buffs herself, and then when she does her basic attacks, she's basically doing more and more attack damage over the course of the battle. And she heals herself, so she's got some durability. So she tends to be a high damage outputter for me, as well as Malistor, but she's like mainly my AoE damage dealer there. But you could be running like Talon or something like that as your AoE damage dealer. Obviously, one of the best in the game is if we're throwing Vebulon here. Vebulon is a fantastic AoE damage dealer, especially when he gets in the lightning form. So you're looking to kind of sprinkle in some of that direct damage, direct target, and then that AoE, because those combined are going to really do like help you melt down teams, and then focus on individual heroes like the real high value targets that you can take down with your direct damage dealer as well. So that's really important. And synergy, what I mean by synergy is putting in heroes that work well together. So in this case, Vebulon, when Vebulon if he's hitting a bunch of targets at once, if he's doing big AoE damage and attacking multiple times, sometimes because like Arian might buff him and allow him to attack more than once. That's every time he attacks, he has an opportunity to basically do like a crit damage on anybody he hits, and every time he crits, basically Malistor has a 75% chance to follow that up with another hit. So you've got multiple attacks going in one round, and those all give Malistor an opportunity to attack again in the same round. So again, it's that synergy. Or a better example might be looking at a little bit what my lineup looks like in my alt account. So this is kind of just for demonstration purposes. This is kind of what my lineup looks like in my alt account. I think I've got Ungreal, I've got him, I've got Kronos, and I have who else did I have? I think I've got Medusa, and this is basically So this is basically the lineup. This is on my alt account. This is kind of what my lineup looks like. And so a couple things to note here. One, Spirik. Spirik puts stacks of fire damage on enemies every time he hits them, right? When he does, he can hit multiple times. He can hit multiple targets with his basic attacks and his ultimate attack, and each time he hits them, he has a chance to put burning stacks of damage on them. And Ungreal and Brecum both have abilities that enhance that fire damage. So, Brecum's vines, when somebody is CC with those vines, will take an extra, I think, 15% burn damage if they have burn stacks on them. And Ungreal, when he gets below 30% health, does an AoE attack that puts a mist around an enemy or some random enemies, and they take additional burn damage. And you can see how these things start to work together and stack up with one another. So overall, that means that Spirik's going to be putting out more and more damage as the fight goes on. And so that's a really nice synergy that can happen there with those three heroes working together on the same team. And likewise, with Medusa and Iridel, Medusa has an ability that when she does a basic attack, or when she hits a target that has 4 stacks of poison on them, she will burst that poison for all its damage in one big burst of damage. It's huge. It's basically a big it's a big single target shot that basically you can kill an enemy in one hit. So what you want to be doing is spreading poison stacks, poison dots on all the enemies as much as you can, and trying to get those stacks up to 4, because then she can AoE or she can just hit them and that'll burst and do a ton of damage. And what Iridel does, why they work well together, is Iridel has a chance for every time she hits an enemy to put poison stacks on. So between Medusa and Iridel, they're both putting poison stacks on enemies, and that over time they're going to hit those 4 stacks, and then Medusa's going to hit them, and they're going to burst for a ton of damage, probably kill them or almost kill them. And so you can see how, the way that I rank, like the way I set up this team, that's designed to basically to work, to have multiple synergies going on and just help put out as much damage as possible. So this is a really fun build that I'm having a ton of fun with on my alt account, and I think I've been playing that account for about a month and a half now. I'm on campaign level 18 or 19 at this point, so doing pretty well at that. Haven't spent it. I'm just doing complete free to play with that. It's a lot of fun, and this build's a lot of fun to play with. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about good synergies, and then like sprinkling in that AoE damage as well as single target. In this case, Spirit does quite a bit of AoE damage. Medusa does some AoE damage as well as single target. Iridel does a lot of single target and AoE as well. So great overall team composition there. Okay, so tip number 3, equip the right artifacts on the right heroes. Okay, so let me back out here and come back and talk about, actually let me back all the way out here. Let me go to my hero list. So artifacts are really important. So if you're, especially as you get to end game, putting the right artifact on the right hero makes a big difference on how well your team's going to perform. And so in this case, Ungriel, Ungriel's a tank. He sits in my front line, and he takes a lot of damage. Now, he's super tanky to begin with, but he's going to be taking a lot of direct damage, especially as you get later in the game, like towards that mid or late game. There are heroes that are going to do a ton of damage up front right out of the gate, and so you want to be able to mitigate that as much as possible. And so I've got him equipped with this Kingdom's Production, one of the better artifacts in the game. It's an epic level artifact, and you could see here, level 1, each time an attack is received, damage taken will not exceed 40% of his max HP. And then as you level it, level 3, it improves to be damage will not exceed 30% of own max HP. And then at level 6, while he's surviving, the ally behind him also gets that fact. So that's really important to know. So when you have him in your lineup with this artifact on, you want to put probably your squishiest hero behind him. So because your squishiest hero is it's gonna reduce the amount of damage that hero, that squishy hero behind him, can take. So really important to make sure that hey, this is a tank. This Kingdom of Protection is really built around 4 tanks, and then for tanks to be able to protect your allies behind them in the back line as well. So that's kind of what I mean about putting the right artifacts in the right heroes. Here's another case, Demon Eye. So Demon Eye crit damage increases by 7% after each crit strike. Now, Malastor, his whole skill set is based around getting crits and doing more crits and getting the team to do more crits. And so what this artifact will do is every time he crits on somebody, he gets a stack that's going to, it's going to increase, crit damage is going to increase by 7% after each crit strike. For each stack, it's going to increase by 7%. Actually, I've got it at level 3 here, so it increases by 10%. So that damage will keep going up 10% for every time he crits, and you'll see those stacks go up over the course of the battle. And so the longer he lives, the more stacks he's going to have. So by the end of the battle, towards the end, late in the battle, he's really going to be hitting pretty hard. Now, once I get this to level 6, which takes a while, but I will get it there eventually, crit strikes by allies also increase that damage by 2%. So everybody's contributing to this artifact's ability impact on how much damage that Malastor is doing. So this is a really great hero to have an artifact like this on. He's going to be doing a lot of crits. He's going to be getting a lot of strikes in over the course of the game, and by the late match, he's going to have around 8 to 12 stacks of this, and he's going to be doing a ton of damage. And then Covenant of War. This is another great artifact that this one you can kind of sprinkle on any of your heroes in the back line who are going to be taking a lot of damage. Basically, as their HP goes down, damage goes up for this. Pretty basic, but an excellent artifact. But there was one I wanted to specifically. Let's go back here. Let me take a look at here. So on on Galileo, I have a level 6 Arctic Heart, and the reason why I have a level 6 Arctic Heart on Galileo is because, as I mentioned before, she's kind of my AoE damage dealer a bit, right? Her basic attack hits 3 targets all at once, right? And her ultimate also hits 3 random targets all at once as well. And so with this Arctic Heart equipped, that means that she has a chance, a 20% chance with her basic attack to freeze the targets when she hits them. So it's just some additional CC in the game. And then also her skills, the level 6 version of the skills also have a 10% chance of freezing the target for 1 round. And so like when she does her ultimate ability, she also has the ability to freeze them as well at 10% chance. So throughout the course of the battle, you're going to get those extra CC sprinkled in, which can make the difference between winning and losing that battle. You get a really clutch CC at a critical point, like turning point in the match, and it can actually win you the match. CC in this game is extremely important. I should have mentioned that in terms of like as part of my tip 2 for team building. You have to make sure you get some CC in this game. Your frontline heroes, you're going to want the Breckhams, you're going to want the Cronoses, and anybody that's got some CC abilities. You definitely want that in your lineup because it's absolutely critical in this game that you're able to kind of control the pace of the match, get some CC on the hero or on the enemies. Prevents them from being able to attack, prevents them from being able to use their ultimates, allows you to survive longer. So it's part of going back to that tip 2, AoE damage is really important. Single target damage is really important. CC is like king. CC is like really, really important. So make sure you're getting some CC abilities in there. And so that's why I have Arctic Heart on Galileo, is so that I can get that extra CC chance, to freeze the enemies and control the pace of the match. So that's what I'm talking about, like when equipping the right artifacts and the right heroes. You wouldn't want to equip this Arctic Heart on a single target damage dealing hero, because that's just one that's one chance that they're going to get to freeze an enemy. You want to put this on somebody that's hitting multiple targets with their basic attacks, or hitting multiple targets with their ultimates. That's going to improve the odds that they're going to actually get a freeze, get a CC triggered. So really important there. Okay, so tip number 4, enhance your gear. It says so every time you lose a match. Really important that you're coming in here and you're enhancing your gear as much as you can, right? A lot of people, are like, hey man, I'm stuck, I can't move on. I say, hey, did you have you been leveling your gear? Well, not too much. I've been waiting. Don't wait, just to enhance your gear, like level this up as much as you can, because basically, the more you when you level these up, this level 5 chest piece that I have here, even when I move on to another piece and replace it, that level 5 chest piece that is going to enhance the next piece of gear, you don't lose that experience. You don't lose that investment in the piece. Like a level 5 4-star chest piece is going to give more experience to your next piece of gear than a 4-star 0 level piece of gear, right? So don't be afraid to invest in these. Don't be afraid to kind of level the enhance these, because one of the things you get when you enhance it to level 5 is, you see here, you get this extra stat line. So in this one, reduced damage by 2.5 or 2.6%. For the hero, which is great. I mean, that's huge. That actually 2.5% is pretty, is impactful. So you want to get this gear to level 5 as much as you can, as fast as you can, because it's going to make your heroes, your overall team comp work like much stronger, better stats, just to perform better. So don't be too conservative on this. Be liberal. Just enhance that gear. Get it to 5, and max it out. I tend to with my tanks, just as an FYI, is look for gear that increases your HP and armor, things like that, right? So in the tanks, You see this is an attack piece. I haven't enhanced that one. So boots I would probably enhance next because I'm gonna increase its HP. And for tanks, it's really important that they have a really high HP and really high armor and block and things like that. So I tend to, for the tanks, focus on the gear, leveling those things first that are going to make them tankier. And likewise for the attack heroes. For attack heroes, I'm going to make sure that that I'm enhancing gear that is going to improve their crit chance, or it's going to improve their attack stat line, things like that. So that's going to be things like the sword here, or the belt. Sorry, not the belt. This piece, the shield, right? It's going to improve and increase attack. So something else to consider when you're building out your team and trying to progress through the game. And then the fifth tip that I'm going to give you is invest in tech. Invest in guild tech. This is hugely important. I might have to do a whole video on this alone, but this is another thing that's going to really help round out your team's, your team's strength. On top of everything else, on top of the gear and the artifacts, the other thing you can do to really build your team up and make your team stronger is to invest in this tech tree. And you have 4 tabs there. You have general, and your general tab basically applies to all your heroes. So if I level up this weapon proficiency, which is going to increase my attack by 20 points, it's gonna apply to all my heroes. Now, if you look at attack hero, anything that I apply in this tech tree is really only going to apply to attack heroes, and likewise for defense, and likewise for support. And as you can see, I've invested the least in support. What I tried to do, my strategy was to try to get through this general as much as possible. And you can see I've maxed out weapon here, which takes a long time. But all my heroes get plus 10% HP, plus 10% attack. I mean, that's pretty much my entire aura bonus, right? So I'm basically getting 2 aura bonuses. My next one I'm focusing on here is War Master. Get my attack, another 10% on my attack, and then 10% on my skill damage. Things like that. There's some really good ones here. If you look at in defense, one I'm really trying to max out for defense is this control immunity, because CC is everywhere, man, and I'm trying to build up my defense heroes' resistance to being CC'd. So definitely look at this tree, look to invest in this. I would start with the general tab because it applies to everybody. But if you feel like it, sprinkle in some of these areas as well. It doesn't hurt. These start off really, really cheap. The first couple ones you invest in, say in Stalwart at the top here, is usually like 10 coins, but it gets exponentially higher as you go further along, and it gets more and more expensive. So just be aware of that. So that's it. One more thing I want to just point out. I guess this is like a bonus tip. Those are my 5 tips. My bonus tip would be to not to obsess over this power number here. This number up here. This is just it's an interesting stat, whatever. I don't think it means a whole lot, to be honest with you, because I've gotten beat down by somebody that's got 100,000 less points than me, right? It's 100,000 less power than me, and the reason is that team comp and synergy often outweighs the overall power of the team. I don't know how they calculate that number. But I think that people in the beginning, they look at it and they say, oh, I've got more power, I've got more stars, or this hero's got more stars. Yeah, that's a general rule of thumb. You want to run with the team with the most power, but it isn't the end-all be-all. And oftentimes, as I'm playing this game, I will pluck heroes out of my lineup and put in weaker ones based on what I'm facing in the enemy. You know, whether I need to attack a back line or not versus just the front line, or whether I need an AoE debuff to go off, not throw Talon in that front line, let him get his, get beat down. Once he hits below 30%, does an AoE debuff on the enemy team, and then the rest of your team is going to survive longer and possibly win. Things like that. So there's situational awareness that has to play in here, but obsessing about this number is not going to really take you that far. Again, I've played teams that have much lower than this, but they just have a better team synergy. They got a couple of relics in there that are buffing them up. They got a couple of Cronoses that are CCing the hell out of me the whole time. A couple of Medusas, things like that are just burning me down. So yeah, team comp will win out. So something to keep in mind. Nice thing to guide you, rule of thumb. Look at it like, but don't be too focused on that. Think more about how your team works together, and also the challenge that you're facing if you hit a particular tough campaign level or Gaia tree level. Okay, so that's going to be it for me. This was not comprehensive. These were just a couple of things that were on my mind, a couple of top 5 things that I was thinking about, because I've been getting a lot of questions from people. I'll probably do more of these team building videos, maybe do a series of these as I address more complicated strategies, maybe additional synergies and things like that, especially as I start to play through this more. Like I recently just added this Fangram to my lineup, and he's been really good, and it's only because your strategies shift as you go from early to mid to late mid to late game and things like that. So as you're transitioning, when you get further along, your strategies are going to shift. Your heroes, you're going to realize, hey, I need that silence that he does, and I need that somebody to be able to attack that back line to take out a squishy target. So I'll cover some of those things in later videos, but again, these were just a couple of things that I wanted to put out there as to kick off a series, and I'll do more of these videos that I'll cover more stuff as we go along. So thank you for taking the time watching. Hope it wasn't too winded. I apologize if I was rambling on a bit there, but I hope it helps. I really hope this stuff helps you guys. Hit me up with some questions in the comments if you like. You can find me on Discord as well. You can find me on Reddit. I got a link to the Reddit down below. Join the Reddit community. It's been growing a little bit, and we're getting some more activity on there. So love to see you guys join and contribute to the community there. Hit the sub button if you want to if you like my content. Hit a thumbs up. Thanks again for watching. Hope you guys have a great night. We will see you next time.